It's so cold. Hey, oh good, you're on. I don't know how your battery's still lasting. It's been like 3 or 4 days since I've eaten anything. Food is getting scarce. I've found some of these cans of stuff. I don't know what they are, but they have expiration dates on them, so I'm pretty sure it's food. Oh, they taste terrible. They taste terrible. Oh! Welcome back to another episode of Trench Rat Customs. Today, we are going to be talking about your mom. How is she? You should probably call her. She's probably wondering how you are. We're actually going to be talking about today fakelite, which is fake bakelite. Bakelite is basically the predecessor to plastic. It's not used anymore. It's more brittle than plastic. Just plastic has a lot of benefits that bakelite doesn't have, but it's undoubted. No one's going to argue that bakelite looks better. Bakelite looks awesome. It's got a cool texture to it. The color variations are awesome, and like no two pieces look the same, which just adds so much character. This is real bakelite. It was used in household goods, firearms, pretty much everything that plastics are used in today. They tried to use bakelite for. Then they found out it had issues and stuff. Like even some of the handles on these tools are bakelite. But today we're going to be talking about fakelite. This is fakelite. It's basically a painting technique to make your stuff look like bakelite. I have a couple different colored samples laid out here. As you can see, we have 4 colors. Usually it ranges in the browns to like burgundy spectrum. You see some reds, definitely see like the purples, and a lot of like tans and oranges. I'm only going to go with 4 colors because I'm not going to sit here and make 900 samples. But we are using, I like 2X paint and Krylon Fusion. I kind of use them for a lot of my project because they hold up and they're cheap. And they're easy to touch up, and you don't really notice the spot that you touched up, which is important on some things. So here I have satin cinnamon, satin claret wine. This is satin brick, and this is cinnamon satin. I just realized these are the same color. They're supposed to be the same color. I didn't realize that, but they actually look different. So one of them is probably an older model. I just bought this one. This one's a year old or whatever. Well, that's besides the point. So basically, the technique that I like to use is from a website called Recoil Web. I talked about it when I went over the build for the trench mouse, but I want to get a little more in depth on the techniques of bakelite. Well, fakelite, sorry. So I like to go with the orange, like more of an orange color when I do mine, but a lot of people like the reds or like more of a brown tone. So basically the principle is you spray your base color down, and then after you have your base color dry, you take any kind of stain. Try to use an oil-based stain. It just works nicer. I like Varathane, but I use pretty much whatever stain I have laying around. I'm only going to use one color stain on this because, I mean, it's like infinite combinations you can use with different color stains versus, different color paints. So I am using Early American from Varathane. So once you have your base coats laid, then you can take your stain and you go over your base coat with the stain. Make sure the stain is dry because it is an oil-based paint. And when you put oil-based paint on top of oil-based or solvent-based spray paints that aren't dry, a lot of times it'll make them smear and peel. Now, as I say that, it's cold out. It's like 16 degrees out. I didn't give these much time to dry, so it might peel. I don't know. But it's just a tutorial, so it is what it is. I like to use a stiff brush to initially put the product down. So what I do is I just dip it in my stain. And then I just kind of just brush it on however you want to start. It's basically you're just trying to get stain on the product. This brush a little stiffer than I like to use, so it's kind of splashing everywhere, but it's not a big deal. Now, it doesn't matter how much you put on because you can wipe it off, but basically when you try to initially put it on, it kind of pulls up and it like smears and doesn't really do what you want it to do. So what I like to do is just put some on to start, and then after I have it on, I like to let it sit until it gets a little tacky. And then once it starts to get a little tacky, then you can actually go over it with either your brush or your sponge. I like to use these, I don't remember the Go Scrub Daddies, I think they are. They're hard on one side and soft on the other. It's like $5 for like a 3-pack of them. But they're good for this because you want something that has kind of a rougher texture, because that texture is what is going to give you your patterns and designs. Now you can already see some of these spots that were smooth and they kind of like leveled out. When you go over it with a stiff bristled brush, you can already see the color, the pattern start to come out. So then what I do is once I have it kind of covered how I like it, I go over it and I start trying to make my textures or patterns that I want. Now, the cool thing with Bakelite is there's like infinite patterns. You'll see like 5 different patterns even within the same piece. Some of them are like streaks, some are spirals, some look like chopped, almost like a fiberglass look. So you really can't mess up the pattern because there's just so many different patterns. So I'm going to start I take my brush and I just start. Some of them I'll brush one direction. Some of them I'll just do little spirals. And you just kind of go over and you just kind of make whatever texture or pattern you want to put on there. And then you can use the soft side of the brush to kind of get up some of the extra material. But then that also gives other patterns to your texture. And then you can use the hard side, and you can see the hard side actually gives you like scratch marks, which you can use in the pattern as well. So I'm gonna go over all these, and I'm gonna paint them down, get my patterns the way that I want, and then we will move to the next step, which is finishing. I prefer to use a matte clear coat. Some people like semi-gloss. Gloss looks weird, looks really fake. So I would always try to stay on the more matte end of it. So we will be back shortly, and I will show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, so I let these dry overnight and then gave them a coat of clear. You can see that I went through when I finished the patterns. One of my favorite things to use is just get a piece of a plastic bag and just crumple it up and then dab the surface with that. And that gives you a really nice texture. It looks pretty good. I think it matches Bakelite fairly well. But you can see the different patterns that I have on here. With the lighting, I don't know if I have the angle correct. So if it's not great, I will put pictures of all of this stuff on the Facebook group, Trend Track Customs, where obscurity is the norm. So you can see everything there. These bottom ones I went over with a second coat of stain after it was dry. So you can see that it's just darker and there's more effect to it. This color didn't show out. It looks okay in up close, but on camera it doesn't look great. You can't really see it. So if you go with like a burgundy or a red or something dark like that, go with a darker stain. This is early American. A walnut is a little darker. So if you went with like a special walnut or something like that, it will show up a little better. These are like a spiral pattern on here. These are kind of a combination. This is kind of a combination, but you can definitely see the difference in with just a slightly varying your technique and pattern on how it looks. These are some mags that I did. These are SKS duckbill mags. So they're painted with fakelite. This is an AR-15 mag. And then this is a red ball mag that I painted for the trench rat. This is my Mossberg 500 that you can see I did a fake light on the foregrip. And then this is my my AK, which I also did fake light on. This one's a little worn because I've shot this a lot. And then if anybody wants videos on any of these other guns, I'll eventually do videos on these. Yeah, so this is what this is your fake light. Hopefully everyone liked the video. If you have any questions or comments or want me to go through anything else, a little more detail, I can do that. You can either join the Facebook group and message there, or you can do it through YouTube. The Facebook group's nice just because it's easier to post pictures and do all that kind of stuff. So there's fake light. I'm going to be doing a bunch more painting videos and techniques. I've had a lot of people ask me how I did like fake rust and do all that kind of stuff. I will go through that in other videos. I will do like oxidized copper and brass and all that kind of stuff too. I will also do a video on brass plating. So that should hopefully be pretty cool. It's a great effect. It looks awesome. It makes your stuff a little more durable. So that'll be one of our future videos. Thank you, and I appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully this stuff helps somebody get their desired effects. Again, this is from the recipe that I found on Recoil Web. So there's also, you can check out that website, and they have some good stuff on there too. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of Trench Rat Customs, and hopefully I'll see you soon.